Hi everyone. I have a dilemma. Every spiritual belief system and religious belief system has some form of analogy that goes along the lines of what is meant for you will not pass you by. All good things come to those who wait. Your fate is predetermined. And the problem with all of this is if whichever deity it is, and I don't particularly care what you call your deity, be it Muhammad or God or the divine or the universe or Buddha or whatever, it's neither here nor there. If that deity has already decided that I'm going to hell, if you even believe in hell, because the pagan belief structure says there is no hell, but whatever. So if you believe in hell and your God, deity, whatever name you've allocated to it, him or her, says you're going to hell, then it doesn't matter what you do because it's already predetermined. It's a predetermined fate. You are going to hell. So it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how many people you help. It doesn't matter how religiously you follow the strictures of that belief system, because your deity has already decided that you're going to hell, or whatever it is that the deity calls what I think of as earth, which to me is hell, but that's neither here nor there. So, can it be true that what is meant for you will not pass you by? Well, how? How can it be true? Is it all blind faith? Because if I lock myself up in a basement in Manitoba and I never have any contact with the outside world at all, I am probably not going to bump into whatever it is that's meant for me. You know, if I've isolated myself, I don't communicate, I have my hydroponic growth system going in my basement, I never leave the place. So then people say, but you need to have faith. Okay, faith. So in South Africa, 2 or 3 days ago, a man was convicted and had sentence of 2 life sentences passed on him for raping and beating his 8-day-old daughter. 8 days. Frankly, I think the sentence is too light, but yeah. Which God or divine or Buddha or Allah or Muhammad or whatever it is you're going to call them, which God decided that it's a great idea for an 8-day-old innocent being to be raped and beaten until it died? Because I don't want to believe in a deity that has determined that that is the fate of a being. And what bloody planet are we on? There's nothing good about that. The baby didn't deserve it by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, that is a pure victim. There's just no two ways about it. It's not as if the baby was a difficult child or anything else to that effect. It was 8 days old. 8 days. I mean, it's almost the same as these blasted parents who think they're going to transgender their child because the child has got behaviors that might be indicative of the opposite gender. And the child is less than 2 years old. What deity predetermines that bullshit? And where does this whole free will crap come into it? You can't go against free will. Okay, so was it the baby's free will to be raped and beaten until it died? Is it a 14, 15, 16, 18-month-old baby's free will to have gender reassignment surgery before it can even spell, never mind gender, but or assignment? So, how does it actually work? And please, I don't know. I'm not the guru on the hill by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a stupid woman trying to figure out why on earth I need to carry on existing on this planet where there is no logic. In this world, for the most part, the most despicable humans end up at the top of the hierarchy. And they don't get there by their own merit. And I did say for the most part, there are people who are genuinely decent and kind, who help people along the way, and while they're helping others, they themselves grow, and they themselves end up at the top of the totem pole. But for the most part, the people in charge are skunks. And my apologies to skunks, because they're actually really cute. But these people are criminal. They step on top of people to get where they're going. They bully, scheme, and connive to get where they're going. There are not many very decent, honorable people at the top of corporations. And the people that are invariably don't end up lasting long because, as they say, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And it actually is. Survival of the fittest. So I look at the South African government. I mean, it defies logic that the criminals running a country, first of all, aren't overly educated. Most of them wouldn't know how to deal with a budget if their life depended on it. Just the other day, a bill was tabled to Parliament for removal of all self-defense measures in the South African security sector. So you sort of think, well, okay, well, the police are supposed to have weapons. Yeah. In South Africa, the police are ineffectual. In South Africa, very often, the police are more corrupt than the criminals. And I'm generalizing because there are, once again, some seriously good police people out there. But unfortunately, the rot is there. And invariably, the rot takes out those that are not rotten. So, the South African government has decided that private security companies, who every company and every household needs in order to fight crime, because the police don't, are not allowed to carry any form of self-defense device. And I'm not going to say weapon because it goes as far as pepper spray. In fact, they've even made handcuffs a regulated self-defense device. So if you arrest somebody, you may not use handcuffs if you are not a police person. How does that even work? And where does this criminal bullshit come from? Well, it comes from the corrupt people at the top, because the president of the country is a firm believer in kill the farmer, kill the boo. He made that perfectly clear. And he backed a court ruling. The court backed the statement that kill a farmer, kill a boo is actually perfectly acceptable. It's not deemed racist. What they neglect to mention is that it's only if it's for a white farmer, because a boo is an Afrikaans farmer, a white Afrikaans farmer. So, if what's meant for me won't pass me by, how are these people getting where they're going? Is that what's meant for them? Are families meant to be tortured and murdered? Are children meant to be raped and killed? Sold, exploited? Are pedophiles entitled to play with young children? Is that what is meant for those children? That they be abused by some vile creature because they can't control their sexual proclivities, and they think it's great to watch or to abuse a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old? Is that what is meant for those children? So where does the entire what is meant for you will not pass you by? All good things come to those who wait. Well, no, all good things come to those who work their asses off, and they probably still won't come to those people. Because if that were true, there are millions upon millions of people who work their fingers to the bone every single day. And they are dirt poor. Dirt poor. And you think, well, that's not possible. The only poor people are the people who aren't working. No. No. Go and look at sweatshops. Look at what those people are earning. And it doesn't matter what race they are. They are controlled by criminals. And the criminals get whatever they want. The criminals are rich. Those people who work their fingers to the bone are dirt poor. So how does this entire concept function? And please don't look at me for an answer, because I can't answer it. I can't answer it. I can't justify it. I can't figure out why anyone would even begin to say that type of thing, because it creates a false hope. It creates false hope. You know, so you work your fingers to the bone, you study for your qualifications, but you can't find employment. So you end up doing work that you're not qualified for. And it could be work such as domestic cleaning, scrubbing floors, street sweeping, garbage collection. You could end up in an office doing an administrative position, but you're not working in your qualification. You're basically working to survive. But you're not getting what you worked for. You've worked your fingers to the bone to get what you've worked for, but you're not getting what you've worked for. And then some entitled, advantaged individual with zero qualification steps into the position that you qualified for because, I don't know, because they're entitled to it, because all good things come to those who wait, because what's meant for you won't pass you by. So by that, is that saying, well, the years that you spent learning what you're good at were wasted because it wasn't meant for you? Well, if that's the case, then why aren't I born with a handbook that says, this is what's meant for you, teach yourself that? But then we have the spiritual thing that says, no, you have to awaken. I'm so sick to death of hearing, oh, the planet is awakening. The light workers are awakening. Oh, poppycock. Poppycock. It's just another method of saying nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And people are saying, well, gee, you know, I'm really exhausted and I'm flat and I feel as if I've got flu, and you burnt out. You have burnout. You're not awakening. You've worked your fingers to the bone. You're exhausted. You're exhausted. Life on this planet is not easy. Life is not easy. I mean, think about it. You're born cold, wet, and hungry, and then someone slaps you. And it gets worse after that, unless you happen to be one of the fortunate few. For the most part, it gets worse. Oh, but life has its ups and downs. Well, some lives have more downs than ups. But if what's meant for me won't pass me by, then I have hope. Then I can look and say, well, okay, so maybe I am meant to have somebody want me and somebody want to share their life with me. And I just have to wait. Okay. Will it happen on my deathbed? Is that when it's going to happen? You know, it's very much like the person who wins the lottery jackpot and a day later they die. Well, I suppose they got what was meant for them. It's just a pity that they could never live with it. They could never use it. They could never enjoy it. But what's meant for you will never pass you by. Your life is already mapped out. Well, if it's already mapped out, give me the map. Give me the map. If you want me to live a specific way, a specific life, from a divine perspective, give me the map. Put it in words of one syllable that an idiot can understand, because clearly I am an idiot. Because I can't see any point to any of it. I can't see a purpose to any of it. I can't understand how bad people succeed and good people fail. I can't understand how bad people get to the top of the hierarchy and good people work their fingers to the bone. And those people working their fingers to the bone may or may not be smart. I can tell you something for nothing. The people who are at the top of the hierarchy in South Africa are not smart. They are criminal, but they are not smart. They're not even smart criminals. You know, I look at what's happening with the trade and what Trump is doing to South Africa in terms of the taxes and levies and duties that they're charging, and how the value of the rand has depreciated overnight because of an ego. An ego. Oh, we're not going to be bullied. We don't need America. Well, no, actually you do. And actually you should stop running around backing terrorists. And no, I don't believe that Russia or Ukraine are guilty. I believe they're both guilty. I don't believe Israel or Palestine are guilty. I believe they are both guilty. I believe it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's because one criminal wants what another criminal has. So they're fighting like school kids. The problem is that fighting like school kids is costing people their lives. Innocent people. And was that the innocent people's destiny? Was it their destiny to be living in a city where bombs are being dropped from the sky? Is that what was planned for them? Is that what isn't passing them by? Is that what was meant for them? And who the hell decides what is meant for me? Because as far as I can see, whatever deity or divine is deciding this has got a very skewed perception of who deserves what. They really do. Because an 8-day-old baby does not deserve to be raped and beaten until it dies. So who decides what is meant for you, for me, for them? Who decides whether I grow up in a war-torn country where people are dropping bombs on my head, where I live in perpetual fear? Who decides if I'm going to be born into a wealthy family with loving parents, or am I going to be born into a wealthy family with negligent parents, with parents who get a nanny to raise you, with parents who decide we'll just throw money at the problem? Well, the problem never goes away. Who decides? Who decides who lives and who dies? Who decides what is meant for whom? Who makes that ultimate decision? Because if that is a belief system, what is meant for me won't pass me by, then surely I don't need to do anything to get whatever it is that is meant for me, because nobody knows what it is. You know, you can even go and visit a psychic, and a psychic will say to you, it is the most likely outcome, a potential outcome. People can free will their way out of anything. I mean, yesterday I was listening to a tarot reader who was saying, well, you know, in this particular soulmate, they made a different choice and they terminated the soul contract. So a soul contract that's allegedly set up in previous lives, if you believe in previous lives, can be terminated if you decide to terminate it. Well, if you have so much free will, then how can you be so sure that what's meant for you won't pass you by? You can free will your way out of it, can't you? You can free will somebody else's way out of it, can't you? So who decides? And who makes up this bullshit? Who makes it up? Who even knows? You know, the entire religious belief system, and sorry, I use the word religious because it's a common word, spiritual belief system, whatever you want to call it, is based on rules. Everything has rules. If you do this, then that. It's like a computer program. Oh wait, maybe we are in the matrix. If this, then that. If that, then something else. It all sounds like an algorithm to me. But who writes the algorithm? And who decides that what was meant for an 8-day-old baby was to be raped and beaten to death? Who wrote that algorithm? Who decided that? And what did you call that deity that decided that? And then, of course, we have the entire, well, you know, it doesn't matter what you do, because on your deathbed, you can just have a priest come and pray over you and absolve you of all your sins. So you can spend your entire life being a right bastard. And I'm referring to that in male and female. I'm so sick of gender. You can be a criminal, you can be a murderer, a rapist, whatever you want to be. And on your deathbed, some human who's been given some piece of paper stands over you and says, oh, you're forgiven. Go to heaven. I don't want to go to heaven where there are a bunch of bloody criminals. I don't want to go to a place where people don't take responsibility for what they've done. I don't want to go to a place where it makes no difference what you do. It's already predetermined. Well, if it's already predetermined, then why the hell do I have a priest standing over me doing some ritual and forgiving me of my sins? Because it was predetermined, so what sin are you forgiving? The sin that I'm alive? So I have a dilemma. How is it that what is meant for me will not pass me by? How does that even work? How does the entire belief system work? All good things come to those who wait. What is meant for you will not pass you by. Hey, if you've got an answer, please, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, have a great day now.